Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carrie. Oh, Coffee with Carrie. Thanks for stopping by today. If you're new, I'm Carrie. I'm a matchmaker, a dating coach, and this channel we talk all about different scenarios and talk advice on dating and relationships. Today I have for you a romance scammer case study. It is the story of Chad. Chad was a client of mine from way back, pre-COVID, and there was a lot that went into this though, and I think there is a lot that we could learn from Chad. So we are going to talk about him and his situation. Of course, all the names, there's only one, has been changed to protect the innocent. You know what that's from? Leave me a note down in the comment section. My older friends. And I want you forewarned about romance and dating scammers. Got a couple new episodes, different aspects of the dating scams. One of them I know is about the scammers, the personality traits that a scammer has. Well, what allows them to do that? I was curious. I went looking. Another one is about the qualities that may lead you or somebody you care about towards becoming a victim of dating app scams, romance scams, catfishing, and the like. And that's, I think, great to recognize what traits end up more often than others falling for that type of a situation, which often relieves people of their life savings and their retirement. Horrible situations. But what happened to Chad is an interesting story. And sit down by the fire with your slippers and your cigar, and I shall tell you the tale. Yeah, no, I'm just going to share what happened with Chad. It's interesting. That's at all intriguing to you. Stick around. That's what's on the agenda. Chad was a matchmaking client back in 2020, and COVID comes into this. So remember, COVID was like in March of 2020. And Chad had 6 matches in his matchmaking package. And because of COVID, this particular match was set up by me to be a video chat. We were doing Zoom calls at the time. And I was a huge fan by the time late 2020 rolled around, because I'd had so much success with them. People were really connecting in great ways by negating all the pressures of getting to someplace and being someplace and parking someplace and face-to-face and my shirt rink, all that stuff, the waiters, people listening. I loved virtual dating. It was so successful, maybe because it was new, but I think people just really enjoyed being in the comfort of their own home and having less stress and feeling more able to connect with somebody and open up and connect. And Chad was no exception. On this particular date, he had a great time. I only planned the first date for my clients, the introduction. He had 3 more video dates with this gal, and then they decided to risk their lives to meet one another in the middle of a pandemic. And it was fine. The story of Chad does not end in a sad way with his demise due to COVID. Instead, it ends up that they were getting along so great once they met in person that Chad canceled his matchmaking package, which only had 1 match left on it, because he was exclusive with this girl that I introduced him to. Gal, I shouldn't say girl. She was a woman. And Chad was a man. And they were hitting it off splendidly, and the last I heard at that point, they were off having a grand old time, continuing to enjoy one another's company. I guess that's chapter 1. Chad and I reunited in November of 2022 when he unexpectedly showed up on my Calendly schedule, having scheduled an ER chat. That's a half-hour call with date coaching, and it's called an ER chat because it's just a half an hour, and it's typically because somebody doesn't want to wait to get on my schedule and they want something right away. So I have a half-hour slot that I can squeeze people in, and was on my schedule. So I obviously knew something was up. Maybe like so many of my clients, they have questions about women. A lot of times I fix them up with somebody they've been dating for a while, and they have questions like, what does this mean? Or she's doing this, or am I doing something wrong? Or how do I change this? So a lot of times they reach out for things like that. But Chad was reaching out, and I needed to find out what it was all about. I'm a super curious one. I wasn't going to wait until the next day to figure out what this was about. I just needed to know. So I texted and asked if he was free. We had a quick 5 minute, 10-minute conversation. And when we hung up, he texted me a picture because he was concerned about scams. And I'll get to the whole story. And within 5 seconds of hanging up with him, I knew that Chad was in the middle of a dating scam. That's chapter 2. Now, to explain the rest of the story, I'm going to need to take you back to 2019 when I first met Chad, because he showed up on my matchmaker roster and he was a new client, and we had a new client meeting that's typically an hour or so where we get very acquainted with Chad and what he's looking for and who he is, all about his interests and his values, his previous relationships, religion, politics, ethnicities he's attracted to. And Chad happened to be very specific during that call on what he was looking for as far as the physicality of the women he wanted me to introduce him to. After that call was over, I started working on screening women who I thought would be a great match for Chad, and subsequently I sent him out on 3 dates, and all 3 dates he said yes, that was a great date, I'd love to see her again. And she said, these 3 women each said, no, he don't really feel like there's a romantic connection there. He was super nice, very nice guy, very sweet, but there was no romantic connection for me, or some variation of that. So I needed to have a conversation with Chad because we're just banging our head against the wall here without changing anything. What is that? You doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I wasn't going to do that with more than 3 of his 6 matches. He was loving these women, but this was not reciprocal. Matches are only helpful in my world if both people are interested in seeing each other again. That's a reciprocal match, and that's what I'm aiming for, and we weren't getting that. So Chad and I had to have a conversation. Since Chad was being so specific on what he wanted this woman to look like, during this call I asked him if he could do me a favor when we hung up and send me a photograph or 2 of his ex-wife, and perhaps a photograph of the woman he'd been seeing casually, if he had one, previously to reaching out to me for matchmaking services. So he sent me 2 or 3 pictures of his ex-wife, and he sent me 2 pictures of women that he dated. He said, do you want me to send you some pictures of women I'm attracted to? I said, no, I don't want that, because I think that's what's getting us into trouble here. So that worked out great. I knew what type of women he was attracting and that he had been attracted to enough to be dating them and enough to have married them. So that is what I started looking for. All the qualities he was hoping for, the interests and the values, and somebody who looked similar to these women. He had his 4th date and he said, no, I'm not feeling that I would like a second date. I wasn't interested in enough. I think there were some red flags, but she said yes. She thought he was fantastic and she would have been interested in another date. And that was date number 4. Date number 5 was with the gal that, I'm going to give you a little hint here. It was with the woman that he ended up really connecting with on the Zoom call and decided to go steady with. And they hit it off spectacularly, so much so that he decided, I don't know, maybe 5-6 months later that it was going so well, he just checked in with me and said, thank you, it's going great, and you can go ahead and just cancel the rest of my package. This is moving along very well. And I, of course, was elated, thinking, oh, I might have another engagement coming up soon. That would be fantastic. They're still going strong. But alas, we come upon the ER appointment that he has scheduled, and something has gone very, very wrong. So what it ends up being when I jump on this call with him, a video chat via Zoom, we got a half-hour call scheduled, and he shares with me that he's still seeing the woman I introduced him to. She's fantastic. But you know what? He happened to be online just looking around the dating apps, and he's met somebody else who is much, much more attractive than his current girlfriend. And it made me very uncomfortable listening to him kind of say that, while she's super great and special, just not really his type as much as this woman that he's met online, and he's going to meet her, and he's just a little concerned about whether he should tell her right away. And I have pretty good ethics, so whether it was going to work out with somebody else or not, If he felt he wanted to continue communicating with another person, I thought it was only fair that he let her know, because that's not fair to keep somebody on the line. Whether you're attracted to them or not, or you found somebody more attractive to you, you shouldn't be talking to somebody else and hoping and trying to make plans with them while you have a partner. That's cheating. That's emotional cheating for sure. Maybe she had somebody she was interested in but had passed because she was in a relationship. I don't know. But I thought that was just questionable in my mind, that he should continue dating somebody while being very interested in the other. So not fair to her, also not fair to him. If she's not the one, why is he wasting his time with her when he's easily distracted by somebody who is, I found out, spectacularly beautiful, like a model, more attractive than the first 3 women I matched him with? I would say by a landslide, because she was one of the 2%, the supermodel types, the ones that you don't see walking down the street. And most people don't date because there are so few of them and they don't look like the rest of us. They're a little strange, strangely beautiful. And as soon as I saw the pictures, I knew, because he said he hadn't met her yet and she was like some other country, I think he said London, couldn't get out of London, but he wanted to go to London to see her. But how does he tell the girl he's dating? He's traveling. And I said, will you tell her anyway? But there's no need for you to travel, because this is a romance scam, my friend. And I knew just by looking at her that she was fitting all the signs. She was way too attractive to be online connecting with regular humans, falling in love with them via the internet, trying to make plans that never happen, telling him how fantastic and amazing he is right away in the relationship, love bombing him, and then asking him after a few months to send her tickets to come visit, but she never showed up. That was really all I needed to know. I've got lots of episodes and even more going up with some more specifics on dating scams, catfishing, and romance scammers, all that stuff. But it was obvious to me that Chad had fallen victim to a romance scammer in this girl, and I knew she wasn't real. I knew that her pictures had been stolen by somebody, most likely somebody somewhere in Africa. He was probably talking to a man, and this woman was not real. And now he just ruined and blew up his whole great relationship that I found for him and that he'd worked so hard to grow into something special by the distraction of something that wasn't real at all. The whole story is super, super sad, but you can see how it would happen, and you could see how from the very beginning, when Chad described what he was looking for somebody like this woman. But that's not real life. That's people who are stealing somebody else's pictures, who are the most unicorn of unicorn people. And Chad's a really nice, cute guy. Cute enough to connect with some gal who I thought was darling and really, really sweet and a great partner to him for months and months. How long was that? Year? I don't know. And it all blew up because of an online dating scam. And, well, obviously because he made a bad choice in getting on a dating app. You know, actually, that's not true. He was messaged by her on Facebook. That's how he met her. She got him off Facebook onto WhatsApp and started messaging him at work and then messaging him late at night. And it became this whole thing. And it was all really sad. So I remind you of a couple lessons here. Here's the moral of the story. If you find somebody great, focus on that person. Grow a happy, healthy relationship with somebody that he was attracted to, he really cared about, and he was into and building a future with. They could have had a family in the not too distant future had he not been distracted by a unicorn that messaged him on the internet. He fell prey. And you know what? A lot of those qualities that people who get scammed, I have an episode about that. Check it out. I looked back at the list for that episode, and some of that did describe Chad to me. He really did kind of fall into that. Well, he wasn't a woman and he wasn't middle-aged. He was a little younger than that. A little younger than middle-aged and male make him not the ideal candidate, but knowing that he wanted somebody who was fantastically beautiful and couldn't be satisfied with somebody who was fantastically beautiful inside and lovely on the outside as well, but didn't look like a supermodel, was his downfall. Don't be like Chad. I hope you found my story interesting or helpful. I will hope that you'd come back again sometime. So give the episode the thumbs up my mother's requesting, hit the subscribe button and the ring bell, then you're notified every time a new episode goes live. And I want you to catch that the big one on the dating scam. I've been working on collecting lots of data, and I don't want anybody to miss that one. So the ring bell would be great. I'll look forward to seeing you back here again soon. And until next time, have a good one.